Hello, readers, followers, viewers, or anyone wherever this video may find you. My name's Sam. I'm also known as author Samuel J. White, author of this book, Maria's Photograph, which you can see on my t-shirt and some others. So, I go around selling my books at local craft fairs and stuff like that in Norfolk and other events. I also organise events for authors. And last night I did a talk with a lovely guy called Jack Gregory, and we were at the Royal British Legion in Acle in Norfolk, where some of my books are set, but that doesn't matter. The focus here is on Jack, even though I also do a talk. So last night we did this talk and we recorded it live on TikTok. The talk was more for the people who were in the room at the time, but it was requested that we do a showing of what was recorded on YouTube, Facebook, and so on. So this is what it is. It's not the best recording. There are some bits sort of blipped out, but we're making the best of what we could do with it. And go and listen to Jack. He's a really awesome person. He's a recovering drug addict, former homeless. He's works with charities to help people in his situation, especially with the homeless people and helping people with drug addiction. So I'm going to let him speak first. I'm also going to speak in this one as well, but the focus is going to be on Jack. Here we go. First, and then everyone will forget what I've said and remember what Jack said, so he's going to go first.
Hi. So my name is Jack, and I wasn't always a good man. I moved to Norfolk back in 2001 after I got out of jail, and I met a lady who lived in Norwich, and everything was great, and but I was still quite broken, suffered with addiction my whole life. I was brought up in a small mining town in Yorkshire, a place called Normanton, and during the 1984 strikes, my dad was a union man, and I spent most of my time with my dad on the picket lines. I couldn't read or write. Everybody thought I was just stupid. I found out on my 8th birthday, after my birthday party, that I was adopted. I was told by my mum that I was adopted on that day, and that sent me down a dark path, and I fell into addiction. I couldn't read or write. There wasn't really such thing as dyslexia or neurodivergence at that time. So I was just seen as stupid, so I was put in the special school system, where I was taken advantage of by some of the adults within the system, and I was trafficked for quite a few years. And that broke me, so I ended up on drink and drugs. Went to my first NA meeting at 14 years old. And I just went into this frame of mind that I was told that nobody would ever believe that anything was happening to me, so I might as well just forget about it and just do what I was being told, so I did. I managed to escape when I was 20, but by the time I was 20, I was just so broken, so addicted to drugs. I ended up getting into a fight, and I'd been meek my whole life, and I lost my temper, and I put somebody in hospital for quite a long time. And the judge threw the book at me. When I got out, I moved here, and I stayed clean and sober for quite a few years. But I still couldn't read or write properly. I used to have other people do it for me, and I've always had the stories in my head. That's how I would escape this abuse. But I had no way of putting it down on paper. And I really didn't take my life once. Because of her, I didn't take my life that day, and everything was great. And then 26th of June 2014, I decided that everybody would be better off without me, and my family would be better off without me. So I pooled all my resources and I found the money, and I went out and bought as much heroin and crack cocaine that I could, and I went to a crack house. I'd written a suicide note in my pocket apologising to everybody, and I sat in the corner, and I tried getting sober, I just couldn't do it. And I'm sat there in this crack house, 26th of June 2014, 10 p.m, and I said, God, I can't do this anymore. Take care of my family, take care of my daughter, because I've just not been a good dad. And I took an almighty hit of what should have been enough to kill an elephant, but I fell asleep. And to my amazement, I woke up at 4 minutes past 12 on the 27th of June 2014 to an empty flat. I'd been robbed. They thought I was dead. They took my phone. They'd left the suicide note in my pocket, and that was it. And I managed to get out, and I haven't used a day since. I don't know how. A lot of it has been to do with faith. A lot of it has been to do with a program of recovery. And I started on this journey of trying to better myself. 2015 came, I started to get ill again, very, very ill. And because of the life that I'd led, I had tuberculosis that had been hidden in my lungs for quite a long time, and I died for 4 minutes in March 2015, and that sent me down I had a mental breakdown in the hospital. I didn't know where I was. I was convinced that God had caused the apocalypse because I was such a bad person. I wouldn't eat. I was 6 stone 6 ounces.
Me too.
That was me on my hospital bed. 6 stone 6 ounces. I was broken, and that is Jackie. That is a nurse that saved my life. I spent all of 2 months in hospital. I was convinced that I'd caused the apocalypse. Wouldn't speak to anybody. Wouldn't eat. I went from nearly 10 stone down to, at my worst, just under 6 stone 6. And when I started getting better, which they didn't think I was going to, they told my ex-wife to plan my funeral. But I started to get better, and miraculously, and that is the nurse that saved my life. She's a dear friend to today. I was 7 stone 6 ounces in that photo, and I just started to heal in the hospital. Started to eat again, and then when I got out, I had all this creative energy that I needed to get rid of. When I say I couldn't read all right, I could read a little, and I could write a little. I could write my name. I could read like basic information, but nothing really more. So I decided I was going to learn to read and write, and I started with a really amazing book called Spot the Dog. And I just taught myself. And in 2016, I was offered the chance to write my first book for someone that I'd supplied poetry for one of their books. And I wrote my first book, A Personal Apocalypse, which was a poetic memoir, which is now sold out, and I'm doing the 3rd edition. And then I spent 6 months working with escapees of human trafficking, sexual slavery and exploitation. And I met these absolutely amazing people. I wrote a book about it called Between the Streetlights and Red Lights. And they gave me the courage to stand up and speak about my own story. I didn't think I would ever be in this position. And so I wrote the book, and then I was asked by a friend to go and speak to a director out in the West Raynham Air Base, and that was for a film called The Souvenir, and that was for a director called Joanna Hogg under the production of Martin Scorsese. And I went to meet this wonderful lady who gave me a chance to just stand on a film set, meet some absolutely amazing people, and then invited me back for part two. So I went back for part two, and I had a few little acting roles. I was asked to consult and talk about my addiction, pretty much like I'm doing today. And then the work kind of dried up, and I had nothing to put my mind into. I didn't know what I was going to do. But 2021, during lockdown number 2, I got really, really bored. I got COVID. So I decided to learn how to publish. I'd also started a podcast where I got the opportunity to interview people like myself. And within that, I've interviewed celebrities, serial killers, everybody from every different caliber of life I've managed to meet, and I've been very, very blessed. Over this past year, I found myself needing to put more into my work, and so I decided to do more books, but I decided that I wanted to do it for younger people. So a lot of the books that I've done under the name of The Accidental Journalist, which was the mantle that I went under when I did the podcasting, and some of the books have come from those interviews. But I started to work with younger people. So I started at Still Breathing Studios. And I knew that I needed to address a problem that was happening in every town, every city in England, and that is county lines. I live in a very middle-class town. I live in Wymondham, and it's a lovely town, but the people have no clue. But everywhere I was walking, I could see that this problem, crack houses were popping up. Everywhere you walked, it was the smell of cannabis, young people congregating in certain parts, and I knew that I needed to tackle this as someone that has been there on county lines. But I also needed to tackle homelessness as well, because a lot of people don't understand what it's like, especially for men being homeless. So I wrote a game book that some people might be able to understand. It's a choose your own adventure book, and you read a chapter, and then you get 3 choices at the end of each chapter, and it gives you exactly the amount of choices that you get as a homeless person. There are 52 choices through the book, and each choice takes you deeper into homelessness. There is no way to win. It just drags you deeper into homelessness. And then the next book I wrote was one about a young lad on county lines who grew up in care, a bit like I did, who had a neurodivergence, who was vulnerable, and the prime sort of target for these people. I have children that are in high school. My youngest went to high school in September. My eldest, my daughter, she went to university last year, studied forensic psychology. because she realised that Dad was a bit of a nutcase and wanted to know why. So yeah, and I started tackling these things. I started writing these books. Every book that I sell at normal price, I can buy 3 author copies, which gives me 1 to sell and 2 to go and go speak to these kids on the streets in Norwich, Loddon, Chedgrave, wherever I find myself. I can go speak to the kids. I can tell them what I've been through. I can show them the scars. This life has taken me to being shot twice, stabbed 4 times, and hit with everything that ends with the word bat. And it's not a life that I wish for anybody at all. So I, through the grace of God, will now stand there and talk to anybody that wants to hear about the problem that is going on. And this is my way of tackling that problem. And we go to events, Sam and I, and sometimes I get to meet lovely people and I get asked to come and speak at places like this. So yeah, if you've got any questions, please do come and get me at the end. Yeah.
So you're not a fan of Zach Polanski then?
Zach Polanski. I don't think I know the name, I'm afraid.
He's the leader of the Greens.
Oh, right, okay.
Who want to correspond with the cartels in South America to ship drugs back to the UK.
I have a...
What paper do you read, mate?
Well, I read the paper everybody.
My thought on that is probably a radical one. Addiction is endemic, and it's a big problem, and nothing that has been done before has ever really touched it. There are programs out there that can help people like me. If you work a program, that's fine, but that's not for everybody. I believe that by decriminalising certain drugs and legalising certain drugs, and then opening them up to clinics, and to be able to go use it at a clinic like they do in Amsterdam, like they do in the whole of Holland and parts of Europe, where you can go and you can do it legally and be watched over by medical professionals. That does tackle the problem.
A neurologist at the NLM who is actually looking to grow medical grade cannabis to help people with epilepsy.
Yeah, it has its place.
Yes.
Drugs have their place.
I think if it's regulated, it should be.
But it does need regulation, and I do believe that it can be tackled in such a way where it can be monitored by the medical profession. Then you get less people dying of ketamine-laced heroin.
Yeah, because you know it's pure and there's nothing.
Exactly.
You're also, yeah, I was gonna say you're also taking it, the criminality away from it to certain extent.
Because people like me are criminalised,
Yeah.
and still I deal with, you know, I'll be 12 years clean and sober on the 27th of June, but still there are people that look at me and believe that I can't change. I've been told by certain members of my family that I will never, make anything in my life, but yet here I am really pushing to prove people wrong because I'm northern and I like to prove people wrong. With that, I'll hand you over to Sam.
Thank you.
Okay.
And now it's my turn. So if you haven't switched off yet, you probably will now. But give it a listen. Go on. You know you want to. If you're still here now, I will introduce me. Okay, so I'm not used to doing this at all. I've done one talk before in my life. So that was about 18 months ago, similar thing in Swaffham Library. So I sort of prepared a thing for that and on the computer. So I've got some of it still on here, but I'm not going to subject you to all of it. It's on here, but yeah, this is obviously me. I don't know whether the sound's working on that or not, but
We do have trouble with sound sometimes.
yeah, that's all right. Don't need to worry about it. That's just me reading the first lines of my book. I've not had the same sort of story that Jack had, and I just took up writing because it was something that I enjoyed doing when I was getting bored. Like when we were on holidays, sitting in the back of the car, going loads of places when I was a kid, and just but I've got some. These are like old pictures of me, but this was me at Heaviam School. I wanted to point out the lady in the middle there, who was my head teacher, because she thought I was useless at absolutely everything. She thought I was useless, and then one day we had a writing exercise, and we had to start a story with these people being chased by a dragon, and I wrote it all down. And I thought nothing of it, and then when she handed our exercise books back in, mine was missing. And I'm like, what's she got? What's going on? Why is I'm going to be in some huge trouble here because she's got my exercise book? And then she says, "Can everyone come and sit down on the carpet?" And I was like, "Oh no!" And she's got my exercise book and she's reading out my story to the whole class. And I just sat there like this. And yeah, that was kind of the first thing. That was my first kind of experience of people listening to one of my stories.
They found your fun imagination.
I guess. But I never had originally I was kind of going to be doing sports and stuff like that. I trained in sports at Norwich City College, which was useless. But one thing it did get me is I was in the gym one day, got on the rowing machine, and one of the trainers said to me that there'd been this competition the night before. He goes, "I want someone to beat the people from the night before because they're all going around boasting about it." So I was like, "Okay, yeah," and went and beat their time on it. And he says, "Oh, there's this rowing race coming up. Do you want to go? Why don't you go and do that?" And I ended up going to the national championships. And yeah, and I've got a picture somewhere. Of me getting what this is really bad. That's me competing, and yeah, that's I didn't know that picture was being taken. I was literally neck and neck with 3 other people at that point, and I was going to finish in 4th place, and I just carried on as hard as I could. Didn't just passed out at the end. Didn't even know where I was, and someone came and grabbed me and told me I won, and I was like, "What?" What? And yeah, it wasn't. It's not like it was an amazing feat because it was just out of the few people that was there. And
But you did reach an amazing feat.
there's me and Steve Redgrave together.
Because what did you achieve in your rowing?
What did I achieve in rowing?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I got a few
You
medals.
were lightweight.
Yeah, I was lightweight champion, but it makes it sound all great when I was that particular race. There was about 20 people in it, and it makes it sound great that I was lightweight champion 5 times. But that was the if I'd been up against anyone good, I wouldn't have been. But I'm not lightweight anymore because I have hypothyroidism, and I kind of gained about 30 kilos over a very short time, which is very frustrating. But I still keep up the rowing. I'm wearing this T-shirt because at the school where I was, where I heard about the very same one I was at when I had the whole thing with the exercise book. I spent a lot of time there because my mum was one of the classroom assistants. And I spent a lot of time hanging around after school because I was waiting for my mum. And I'd heard all these rumours about this photograph that was at the school. And people said that she could move in the frame and that the desk could be turned over and stuff like that, but she'd disappeared by the time I was there. But you could always feel this kind of presence around. And so when I picked this one up, this for some reason has become my bestseller. So that's why I'm going on to this one. So this book here, I wrote in 2019. I had written one of the others first, and I decided I wanted to write about the girl in the photograph and maybe explore how she became active and where this ghost came from, and whether I put this book together and I thought maybe I'll sell 10 copies. And it kind of sat there for a while, didn't do particularly much until I said to the local people in the village I'd written a book. Suddenly, just like that, I sold 100 copies, and then I think last week I sold just over 800. I think it's not done too badly. That's the one people like for some reason, but what we'll talk, I don't give these ones enough credit. Because where are we tonight? We're in Acle, and these books, I've got a standalone one here and a series here. They take place out in the Acle marshes, and the reason for that was because when I was, I had to do a lot of driving up and down across the Acle marshes. Which my brother-in-law, who sat here tonight, he was in a care home in Great Yarmouth. And we had to keep driving up and down there constantly, sometimes 3 times a day, and my imagination was going wild while we're driving up and down the Acle Straight.
You need something to keep yourself going.
Yeah, exactly. And so the cover of this book here is meant to be the Acle Straight. The idea came from people getting killed on the Acle Straight. And this one is a 3-part series about a train crash, and all the people on the train, they kind of get spread out, and there's all sorts of things going on in the dark while they're trying to get help, and it's twists here, there, and everywhere. There's ghosts, witches, vampires, and everything all out on the marshes, and it's yeah, it's And while we're talking, I've got this one here. This is my first book I ever wrote, and this actually I started writing this based on an idea I had years and years ago when I was working as a fitness instructor. And I was out in the snow, and I thought there was someone out in the road, and I kept although there was no one actually there, it kept manifesting in my head of like who would be out on the road at that point, and then what if I gave them a lift somewhere, and then we got stuck together, and I kind of put this girl who I used to work with very briefly in the story, and it all kind of came together, and this is the weirdest thing. I think a lot of people told me this is the weirdest thing I've ever read because it's about 2 people stuck in a storm under a haystack, but they're having dreams about the future and stuff like that. But I want to tell the story about how this sort of started because I'm working on a project to help people write their own stories, and we all kind of start somewhere. And I wrote in the beginning of this one. This is when my brother-in-law just moved in with us. And we'd had loads of crap off of social services and stuff like that because of his disability. And he'd been in hospital as well for some time. I just wanted to sit down and actually do something for myself. And I've been nagging him for weeks we wanted to help clean his bedroom out, and he wouldn't let me do it. And I said, I saw this competition for a short story, and I said, right, today I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write this short story. And I got there, I sat down at the computer, and I put my hand down the first key to start writing it. Went, can you come and help me clean the bedroom out? I was like, and I just turned around to him and I went, fuck, I'm going to end up doing this story. I'm going to end up writing a story now. And I was like, and I just joked, it was supposed to be 2,000 words. It ended up being this. So yeah.
But around that, you have also
Yeah. I then went to Open University and got my degree in creative writing. But so I say these books aren't completely perfect, but they're always it's kind of always a work in progress because, for example, when I wrote this one, I paid an editor to get the spelling mistakes out of it. Messaged me and said that after I had sold 100 copies, they messaged me and they said, "Did you have it edited?" I was like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Maybe you want to sack the editor." So I worked with another local author, David Viner, on and he sort of picked out all the errors he'd found in it, and we got it sorted, and then with a different editor. But there's going to be a couple of things wrong in there. But there was David who said to me, "Why didn't I go to a couple of the farmers markets around here?" And that's where I started off with Norfolk Farmers Markets at London. And so we set the table up. Thought no one's going to want anything. They're probably. I thought, but everyone's going to. I thought there's going to be crowds coming in here. There's going to be loads of people come in because this is like a regular market, and then I just sat there most of the day looking bored. But I still sold 4 books, and I thought I ended up doing a few more of them. And that's another whole story in itself because it turned out that the person running the events was scamming all of the venues and she weren't paying for them. And she was taking money off of people and not giving it to the venues. And one of the cake sellers was owed something like £3,000. So, yeah. And then, but then I just started getting the bug for it and going around all these places and doing events and stuff like that. And then this guy comes in and he's went to one of the events. I've already been doing quite well at them, and I'm like, it's gonna be me, isn't it? It's gonna be me. And this guy called Tony, he said, yeah, he is, isn't it? So I got talking with Tony, and that's how he introduced me to Jack. So me and Jack were already friends on Facebook, but we've so I have a huge network of other authors on Facebook, and it kind of suggests people, and I've met Jack through there, but we hadn't actually met in person. And yeah, that's kind of how.
All this around caring for both me and my brother.
Yeah, I'm not very good at that. No, I don't like doing the care. I'm not very good at the caring. I'll see what else. Well, that's the full picture. My actual favourite book is other ones I've written is this one. So it's basically about 2 people riding stuff flashing in front of them. You know, people have often told me their lives flashing. They're sort of seeing their lives leading back up to that moment through flash feeding them to that moment. It's nostalgia of growing up in Norwich in the 1980s, in the sort of dragging themselves, that sort of thing. And yeah, that's my favourite anyway. Has anyone got any questions, or have you had enough of me?
Writing style has changed.
Different books because this one is just very weird the whole way through, but it's got humour as well. You know, they're in a really bad situation going on, but it's got some sort of dark stuff going on in there as well. From this one is totally different. This is kind of done from a lady's point of view, so I can't do the audio book for this one because it's good. But it's completely different style, and then these ones are both done from a single point of view, whereas this one's written from both points of view. So it's written from the man's, and they sort of swap places. These ones, they're written from multiple points from different people who've gone off to different places on the marsh, and they kind of come back together, but you never quite know which ones are really going to be alive at the end. And even if they've written in the book, they aren't necessarily going to be alive at the end.
Has any of your books been reviewed in the national press?
No, they're just locally at the moment.
In the local press?
They've not been reviewed. I sell them locally. They have been in the local press because we had an event last year in Wyndham, and they did this. someone got this horrible picture of me and spread it across 2 pages in the EDP, and I've tried my hardest to get rid of it. Something else I've only just this wasn't part of the plan to talk about this because I'm in a car actually, but I've got these certificates. Are they on here? No, that's just So I did a film treatment for a film festival, which I was kind of invited to do that, and that was like literally handed it into the judges for this contest last week, and my first ever go at it. He literally got a message back on Monday of last week, and I got a message. I was driving back from the event day. I pulled over at Tesco's, and I got a message from them saying like, because they're announcing the winners, and and announcement, and I'd already been announced as one of the winners. So yeah, I'm basically in August. I'm going over to Harrogate, possibility of making this into a film, but I'll be up against like 20 other people. So yeah. Sorry, this one, really photograph. Yeah. So I sold these as cheap as I can at the moment. Just basically, I want to sell them to make enough money to be able to keep selling more. You get what I mean? So the events and stuff we do, we try to pay like £10-20 a table. I think the one at Lingwood, that was £20. And if we just want to keep making a sale, yeah. Any other questions?
How much is that?
This one I sold for £5. Yeah. The other ones are a bit more. The other ones are a bit more expensive, mainly. The other ones are a bit more expensive, mainly because they cost me more to print. That one cost me a couple of quid to print, whereas the Midwinter Night's Dream is like nearly £7 just for me to buy it, which is why I don't have many. Yeah. Well, thank you for having us.
No, thank you very much.
To Jack. Yours has been the most eloquent, so well done.
You did well, mate.
As I go up and down the street.
A couple of my books, the wrong kind of is responsible for that. From as I get to do the others about addiction and dealing with it in a different. It's not.
But it can be the grace of God, and you're only one paid, and when you've got a mortgage and
To young men, parity between homeless young men and homeless young women. That young men are treated willingly because seen as making myself intentionally homeless.
My first marriage broke down, and he started being violent to me and not sure for help. I was offered because I got out there, and I think that's just really wrong.
That will help, and there are the shelters for men, the homeless addiction, and it was so in the street trying to be sober until it became mind. But medical profession, even only 10 years ago, 11 years ago, they treated it a lot differently. Thankfully now they're listening to people like me and working with addicts and recovering addicts to bring better services into community in a secondary and tertiary way. But it's not good.
That they have to get down to the root cause before they can make any difference.
Never get down to the root cause of it.
Jack, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
You said that faith was important in your recovery.
Yes.
And I assume that you're now a believer. Were you always a believer, or?
I was brought up in a culturally Christian town, as were many boys of my age that grew up in Yorkshire. sent to Sunday school and things like that. I've tried lots of different religions through my life. I was always searching for something. I went to a church, the church that I'm at now, before I got ill, and they were very kind and very gracious to me, even though it was quite obvious that I was still using drugs. But they were lovely. And when I was in my hospital bed, I don't really have any family to speak of. I have my biological family that I have in my life, which is great, and I have my adoptive family and some of those in my life. I lost both of my adoptive parents last year. I lost my mum on the 20th of March last year, and then my dad on the 2nd of April, after, the day after what would have been their 58th wedding anniversary. So it's been a really tough year. And then before I went home for the funeral, I got to go and do the Wyndham book event with Sam, and that kind of helped me focus on something else. I have a very loving family at the church. That lady that served me coffee, I've been married to now for 7 years this year. And yeah, I have respect for my community, and I have respect for myself. And I just want to teach people that, you know, that old dogs can learn new tricks. You know, I'm not ready for the knackered yard yet.
No.
So, and you know, it's been difficult, but yeah, it's I'm blessed. Faith is a big part of my life.
Yeah. And Jack mentioned the event at Wyndham. If anyone is interested, we've got another one on the 18th of April where we've got about 15 authors coming.
The Abbey Rooms.
Sorry,
Abbey Rooms.
the Abbey Rooms, yeah.
And we're going to be doing talks a little bit like this, but shorter over at the little studio across the road.
Yeah.
So, and that's going to be happening all that day.
We're supposed to go down and check the venue out today, but we didn't get the opportunity. But yeah, we have. I've had enough people apply that we're literally going to be crammed. So yeah.
Jack, have you been to anywhere in Great Yarmouth with any of this? Because
I was asked to go to a retreat, a recovery retreat, where they do things like yoga and stuff like that, but nothing came of it. But I'm always open to going to places and doing this. I never write anything, I always wing it, because I believe that if you've lived a certain way of life, it's your responsibility to talk about it, if you've gone through a certain thing. But also I like it to come from here and not from there. I'm good at embellishing things when I write it, but when it comes from here, it comes a bit more natural.
Yeah. It's just that I know a lady that helps a homeless charity in Great Yarmouth. I know she's always looking for, you know, donations for clothing and stuff, because they always got people coming through the door.
Do pass on our details.
Because Yarmouth Borough Council insists that they don't have a homeless problem.
They do.
This charity gives out tents and things and sleeping bags on a regular basis, and then the council go along and gather these all up and take them away from the people, and then leave them, and then they come back, and it's like a vicious circle going round and round and round.
Because they're criminalising homelessness.
It's almost like you really could do with talking to the council.
Yeah, I do have some plans to go and speak to them.
I'll take your card and connect.
Yeah.
I'll send it across to her, because she may well then be able to. And anything that raises the profile of her charity and what they're doing.
Last Tuesday, I got to go with Tony, who he mentioned, to Attleborough to see a very wonderful play by some young people about county lines. and I got to share my story at the end as well. And that's run by an ex-policeman, the guy that used to run the police unit that tackled county lines, which was a little bit nerve-wracking, standing in a room of somebody that used to be my mortal enemy. But you know, it just proves how faith, how God, how we can change our lives, and if I can change perception, showing that people can change, that homelessness isn't necessarily the end, and that there can be other ways to tackle this problem, then I will keep on going.
I just wondering how in the high school,
But,
I think your faith has found you a new role.
yes. I'm also, I never thought I would actually be leadership. I'm actually part of the sort of wider leadership team of the church. We have this sort of theology school at the church, and I get to go and help out on a Tuesday evening and all day on a Friday. And I get to help out on Alpha, which is where I would be tonight. So yeah, I love just. I'm still getting used to speaking. It's not easy for me. I was never the most eloquent of people speaking, but since I've got sober and since I started writing, I've been very blessed to meet some people that have put some really great teachers in my way, where I've been able to sort of open up a bit and be able to have some teaching around speaking, so I don't just babble.
The thing is, Sam said about getting a film, possibly of his book. You know.
So there is a film that I'm part of, and the film is called Urchin. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite nominated for a BAFTA this time, but it did do very well. It was done by a young director by the name of Harry Dickinson, who is playing Paul McCartney John Lennon in the new Beatles films. And I met Harris on the Souvenir Part 2, and he said to me back in 2017, that I have this film about homelessness that I want to do. Can I call you at some point? And then it was early last year, I get the phone call saying, can you do come and speak to us? And I spoke to them, and September I got to go to the premiere with my best friend, who once slapped me in her kitchen because I lied to her about using, and she was stood there with me as I was honoured in front of a lot of people, which was absolutely fantastic. The film is called Urchin, and it features a lot of my story in a fictional context. But maybe one day I'll have the ability to go out and make my own film again. I do make short films, so yeah.
Yeah. Tell them what you told me the other day about what films you were in.
So I was in the last 2 Harry Potter films, running around the Black Forest. I was in a couple of the Batman films, just in the background, so not really seen and not really sort of mentioned, or I didn't even get credit, but you get a bit of money for it, so it was great, and it sort of helped me through a bit of a rough patch. But occasionally I get to do fun things like that. But I do care for my wife and my kids. 4 of them now, because one of them's just moved away to university. But yeah.
Well done. Do you want to do the vote of thanks? I'll do it.
This is Debbie.
Excuse me, I've got to go, but can I buy your books before?
Yes, of course you can.
I'll take yours as well, the cheap one.
Yeah, which one? The
The least expensive one.
least expensive one. Yeah, that's. I'll sign. I've got to get a brown pen.
Okay, sorry.
It's all right. Which one would you like?
Well, we like that kind of Which you recommend?
Well, that here is the that's the game.
well?
Oh, yeah.
That's the one we want where it says you've got a choice of three things.
Yeah, that's the game. There are 52 choices, so that gives you a 4,200 different ways to play the game. No way you win. Yeah, I can have that for a fiver.
Okay. Can you then give a fiver to?
I can, yes.
Yeah. So can I?
Would you like it signed?
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Man has been very positive. Yeah.
Have you got a card?
I have.
Yeah, Sam has it.
Yeah.
It's got to be pen, Sam.
Yeah, that's why I nicked it from over there. I've only got these last couple of leaflets left, and they're going to stick together.
Somewhere around there.
Okay, yeah. So I'll give you that one.
Thank you very much. He's got your
Thank
fiver.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've got it.
Yes.
Okay, you're gonna have to cut the live off.
3:26.
Okay. Yeah. So
I
yeah,
did the Acle straight
the Acle straight one.
as I was born at Stoke.
Okay, that's if you're still here watching, thank you for watching. You Need a Medal. It got cut off there because I needed to use the phone for card payments for the books. I think I sold about 11 or 12, which wasn't too bad, really, for an evening's work. I'll see you in the next video, if anyone's made it this far.